Now we come to the Lord of the seventh ray and the seventh age, beloved Saint Germain, Hierarch of Aquarius. He was embodied as a ruler of a golden age civilization between 50 to 70,000 years ago in the area where the Sahara Desert now is, in a very fertile valley. The story of this golden age and how it came to an end and how he withdrew is sealed in the Lords of the Seven Rays book. It's very important because Saint Germain has said to many an audience, many of you were there, and I'm calling you again to that memory of that time. He held a great banquet at the conclusion of the time when the masters could serve with the people, and he gave a crystal goblet, a crystal chalice of light, that all who attended that banquet would never ever forget their God source or their I Am presence. Saint Germain was high priest on Atlantis more than 11,500 years ago. He served in the order of Lord Zadkiel in the Temple of Purification in the Caribbean. In this temple of Lord Zadkiel, the Archangel of the Seventh Ray, we find him serving in the order of the priesthood of Melchizedek. Saint Germain and Jesus have shown me the record of Jesus himself having studied in that temple when he was embodied on Atlantis. And it was in that temple that Jesus was made a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Now that particular phrase and teaching found its way into the book of Hebrews, a very mysterious book of the New Testament that no one is quite sure who wrote. I think the most likely candidate of authorship for that book is Jesus himself, because it tells you that Jesus is a priest after the order of Melchizedek, a priest forever. And who would have known that but Jesus? No one else writes about it. Furthermore, it speaks of Melchizedek being made likened unto the Son of God. And of course, no one in the New Testament is ever speaking about anyone who could be like the Son of God except Jesus. So it's very interesting when you get into Hebrews that there's some teaching there that they forgot to leave out. It was a very moving moment in my life when I saw the Akashic records of the Archangel of the Seventh Ray actually in ceremony according that level of priesthood upon both Saint Germain and Jesus Christ. He was the prophet Samuel in the 11th century BC in Israel. He gave the teaching to Saul, obedience is better than sacrifice, and he also anointed David king. He was Saint Joseph in the 1st century AD in Nazareth. He was Saint Alban, the late 3rd or early 4th century, the first British martyr. He was a Roman soldier at that time living in Britain who sheltered a fugitive priest. He became a devout convert and was put to death for disguising himself as the priest in order to save the priest. Saint Germain was the master teacher of Proclus around 410-485 Athens. Proclus was the last major Greek Neoplatonic philosopher. He was the head of the Platonic Academy. His works cover philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, and grammar. He was Merlin, the great alchemist, seer, prophet, counselor at the court of Arthur. He was Roger Bacon, about 1220 to 1292 in England. Roger Bacon was a philosopher, educational reformer, and experimental scientist. He was the forerunner of modern science, renowned for exhaustive investigations into alchemy, optics, mathematics, and languages. George Kunz called him the most gifted man of the 13th century. He joined the order of Franciscans to pursue his investigations, and he was brutally persecuted by them for his scientific beliefs. One of his most important embodiments was as Christopher Columbus, 1451 to 1506. and he was Francis Bacon, 1561 to 1626. He was the true author of the Shakespearean plays, and there is a cipher embedded in their first editions which proves this fact. He was the father of inductive science and the herald of scientific revolution and the lawful heir to the throne of England. You can read about the exciting life of Francis Bacon, this cipher, and how he was born to the Virgin Queen and Lord Leicester, and forever thereafter denied by his mother and never given the opportunity to wear the crown. He left that embodiment and became the Count Saint Germain, the Wonder Man of Europe. We talk all about the Wonder Man in the introduction to Saint Germain on Alchemy and the first book of Saint Germain on Prophecy. He was admired throughout the courts of Europe for his adeptship, including removing the flaws in diamonds and other precious stones. He was seen to bilocate and to dissolve his form at will. At this point, he really was an ascended master who had a dispensation to physically appear over a century and a half. He is recorded by many people, including the diaries of Datamar, as performing all these feats. I quote amply from all of these sources to authenticate that he actually did these things or was said to have done them. Voltaire called him the man who never dies and knows everything. He worked behind the scenes to create a United States of Europe and forestall the bloodbath of the French Revolution. His counsel was ignored. In a final attempt to unite Europe, Saint Germain backed Napoleon, who misused the master's power to his own demise. Saint Germain then turned to the New World, and as he had already been working with America since its founding, he stood by George Washington throughout the Revolution, called for the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and directed the writing of the Constitution. He anointed George Washington as the first president. So now we're going to look at this master whose chakra is the seat of the soul. He comes to awaken our souls in the sign of Aquarius. His retreat is in Transylvania in Romania, as well as in Table Mountain in Wyoming, but he uses the Royal Teton Retreat for his training. At his University of the Spirit, you are prepared to receive the gift of prophecy and the gift of the working of miracles. Saint Germain uses the diamond with the amethyst and the aquamarine. The name amethyst comes from amethystos, the Greek for not drunken. The ancients believed it quelled any kind of passion, appetites, desires of the body, preserved chastity, controlled the emotions, imparted dignity, love, compassion, and hope. That amethyst crystal you see is amethyst quartz, and of course there is a more refined amethyst that is of gemstone quality. The Hebrew belief is that it could induce dreams and visions. Casey says it makes the body more sensitive to spiritual influences, higher vibrations, and healing forces. It's good to wear for meditation, increasing abilities during exertion, and preventing personal anger. It is the gem of the bishop's ring in the Catholic and Episcopal Church, associated with kingship, religious ceremony, ritual in church and state. Unquestionably, the amethyst is the gemstone of the alchemist and the prophet, and that means you. You are destined to be an alchemist as well as a prophet in this age. And by prophet, I mean one who reads the handwriting on the wall and knows the signs of your times, your comings and goings. The amethyst, like other gems, is a receptacle. It stores the seventh ray and attracts the gifts of the Holy Spirit. One should always have an amethyst on one's person and an amethyst crystal on one's desk for resolution, harmony, joy, creativity, and freedom. You can visualize the amethyst on your desk as a nexus of a figure eight through which all deliberations and conversations with others that see you may flow and be transmuted. Saint Germain may impart a flame to an amethyst you wear. The aquamarine, the light green, blue-green, is the other side of the coin of the amethyst. It is the stone of the Blessed Virgin Mary and of the Divine Mother, and it's used by Saint Germain with the amethyst as a powerful feminine grounding of the seventh ray aspect of the Holy Spirit. As the Shakti is to Shiva, so the aquamarine is to amethyst. With indigo, this aquamarine color represents the Divine Mother and conveys devotion and healing.
The preceding lecture was given by Elizabeth Clare Prophet, world-renowned author and spiritual teacher. The Summit Lighthouse is an international spiritual organization dedicated to universal enlightenment. Founded in 1958, the Summit Lighthouse has been a beacon of truth to thousands worldwide and a leader in New Thought spirituality. The preceding program has been brought to you by the Summit Lighthouse. For more information, call 1-800-245-5445 or visit our website at www.tsl.org. Outside the USA, call 406-848-9500 or write to the Summit Lighthouse, 63 Summit Way, Gardner, Montana, 59030, USA.